Nuclear Revenge, episode number 2.
A mother's instigation, a daughter's completion. I have promised my late friend that I wouldn't share this story until at least a year after her death. That time has passed, and this is nothing short of beautiful. Cruel, but beautiful. I'm going to switch to first-person POV. This is the story as my late friend told me. I was an only child to 2 loving parents. Mom had a difficult pregnancy and an even harder labor. It was so bad that the doctor advised that they never try again. Because he didn't want his wife to die, Dad got a vasectomy that was successful. I was sad that I didn't have any siblings, but I had a happy childhood until I was a young adult. When I was in the middle of college, Mom was diagnosed with stage 4 SOC, high-grade serous ovarian cancer. It's the most aggressive form of ovarian cancer, and Mom's older sister and Mom both died from it. We knew her odds weren't good. I don't know what Dad was thinking. I really don't. But he started an affair with his coworker, a woman just a few years older than me. Coworker started integrating herself into my and Mom's life. She'd go shopping for us, keep the house in order, help me with homework, and even sit with Mom when Mom was going through chemo and Dad and I weren't there. And no, I had no clue. At all. I just thought it was coworker being kind to a family going through hard times. Mom fought. She fought hard, but the odds just weren't in her favor. One day, I was visiting her in hospice, and we were playing chutes and ladders. Mom got real quiet, and then she told me, "You do know your dad isn't planning to reverse his vasectomy, right?" I was surprised, wondering what she was talking about. "Yeah, I know," I said. "Why?" Mom just looked at me and said, "I think you'd best keep it in mind." We continued playing, and when I left for the night, I kissed her and she said, "You'll be fine on your own." She died that night. I believe she knew she was going to die that night and didn't want to scare me. Once again, coworker was right by our side. She helped us plan the funeral, brought us food, helped out around the house, and slowly started moving her things in. It was like putting a frog in a pot of water and having the temperature raised. It was slow. It was gradual. A year or so later, she had completely moved herself in and was part of our lives. I don't remember what made me suspicious enough to start digging, but start digging I did. I learned the affair began shortly after Mom's diagnosis. I was sickened, furious, and saddened. I took out my cell, ready to confront Dad and coworker with the knowledge, but something else struck me. See? During one of her visits, coworker mentioned to Mom and me that she wished to have children with her fiancé. Mom knew that the affair was going on, and she trusted me to spill the beans, but I wanted to twist the knife further. As a result, I decided to play the long game. It was a gamble, one that had a good chance of not paying off, but it was one I was willing to take. I kept my mouth shut. I watched as they courted, got engaged, and married 3 years later. I squealed with delight when they announced their engagement to me, wore a proud smile on their wedding day, and made a toast at the reception. I even took extra steps to hide test results from Dad's urologist in such a way that coworker wouldn't find it, but Dad would, believe me. I was internally screaming. I wanted the world to know the way they hurt Mom and me during her darkest hour. I got dangerously close several times, but I said nothing, knowing the payoff would be worth it. Time passed. We played happy family. I got married to my awesome husband and had children. Dad and coworker played doting grandparents, but I knew from the pained look on coworker's face that she was bemoaning her empty nest. Just as I was beginning to give up hope, the day came. Coworker and I had started the tradition of getting together for coffee shortly after Mom's death. We'd talk girl things. Again, as I internally screamed, laugh, cry, love, live, that sort of thing. That day, coworker was sad and sullen. I could tell she had been crying. I asked what was wrong. I couldn't believe my ears when I heard why. She was struggling to get pregnant for years, but assumed it was stress from work. Then her periods started coming fewer and farther between. She decided to go to the doctor and find out why. It turned out she was entering perimenopause, and her chances of successfully getting pregnant had dwindled. The doctor told her, in essence, her childbearing years were over. As I crooned sympathetic noises, coworker said, "It doesn't make sense. We tried so hard to have kids, but I wasn't able to get pregnant. I don't know why." It was then that I knew it was time. "You mean Dad didn't tell you?" I said. "Didn't tell me what?" she asked. I was fighting every chance to smile as I tried playing the "it's not my right to tell" and "I can't believe he didn't tell you" cards until she practically begged me. I should have won an Oscar for my performance. I told her about the vasectomy and that Dad had no intention of reversing it. You should have seen coworker. She completely deflated like a balloon. Her shoulders slumped. She bowed her head and she sobbed in her hands. I wanted to rejoice. I wanted to rub her face in it. I knew, though, that would make me look like the bad guy. So I hugged her and rubbed her back, telling her Dad was horrible for not telling her, that she deserved a different outcome, and that he completely wasted her time. Again, I was fighting to not smile. When she left, I told her I would always be there for her, but I knew she wasn't going to be part of my life anymore. Why would she? I was the daughter of the man who betrayed her. Once she had left and I was alone, I wept with joy and relief that it paid off, but also deep sorrow that Mom hadn't been there to see it. That was the last time I saw or talked to coworker. A few weeks later, Dad called me in a fury. Coworker had packed her bags and left, slapping him with divorce papers. She yelled at him for not being honest with her that he had a vasectomy he had no intention of reversing, that he knew she wanted kids, and that she had wasted all of her childbearing years, and that he had left it to me to tell her. He then said, "How could you do that to us? We loved you." I then said in a cold tone, "You and Mom did a good job teaching me how to keep secrets." I hung up and that was it. I never spoke to him again either. Last I heard, he and coworker were divorced, and everyone shunned him because of his keeping the secret. I know I won't be joining Mom after I die. What I did was cruel. It was horrible. I should have done what Mom wanted and spilled the beans beforehand instead of wasting coworker's youth and childbearing years. Even if she could adopt, she'd probably die before her children were fully grown. Although, it's hard to have compassion and mercy for a woman who integrated herself into my dying mom's life as she was screwing Mom's husband. TLDR. My friend's father had an affair as his wife was dying of cancer. His AP wanted children while he had a vasectomy he had no intention of reversing years before the affair began. Friend waited until AP's chances of getting pregnant were nil before telling her about the father's vasectomy. AP filed for divorce, and friend cut off contact with both the AP and her father.
Hell hath no fury like two women scorned. Say goodbye to all your stuff. 15 years ago, I had a boyfriend that I'd been with for 6 years. He moved to another city for work while I finished my studies, and then I would move there too. He was apartment hunting, subleasing in the meantime. He came home almost every weekend and during Christmas and New Year's. He found an apartment in January and invited me up to show it, and I prepared to move up, looking for a job, looking for new furniture, etc. Late February, I told him it's time to terminate the lease on the apartment in our hometown when he suddenly broke up with me. I was shocked and very sad. He collected some clothes and his very expensive PC, which he'd built from scratch. It was his baby. 2 weeks later, he updated his profile pic on FB to him and another woman kissing. Obviously, they hadn't been dating 2 weeks. I called him and called him out on it, and he admitted to having met her 2 months ago. He was at the airport to travel abroad with his buddy for the weekend, so we didn't talk long. That same evening, I decided to tell the new girlfriend. I managed to find her on FB and wrote her. She didn't believe me at first, of course, but I sent her texts, pics. I described their apartment in detail, well, her apartment, as it turned out. When I sent her a DIC pic he'd sent me with their bedroom clearly in the background, she said, "Okay, enough. I believe you." She told me they'd been dating for 8 months, not 2. She'd been in Africa for 2 months, in December and January, which would explain why he was able to be with me for 2 weeks over the holidays, and why he could invite me to see the apartment. We wrote a lot. He'd sent us the exact same Valentine's Day text. He'd bought us the exact same Christmas present, etc. You get the picture. After comparing notes, it was time for revenge. She cut up all of his clothes and left them in a pile on the floor. I told her about the PC and advised her to tear that fucker to pieces. She hacked it with screwdrivers and hammers, and every piece was beyond saving. When he came home on Sunday, she tossed him out with nowhere to go, but not before showing him all of his possessions obliterated. Eat it. I need to clarify that legally, it was my PC. I'd won money on one of those scratch lottery tickets, but since we were living together, I kind of thought of it as ours. Huge mistake.
Thanks a lot for watching. Share your own stories in the comments and check out our other videos. Take care. See you soon.